So I felt like I owe this to YouTube, not really just my fans because I don't really have a huge following, but YouTube has always been nice to me, like whenever I make Wrestling Jesus videos and stuff like that. And I just wanted to go ahead and talk some wrestling with you guys. First of all, I want to ask all of you, who are your favorite wrestlers? Curious to know, because I care about my fans. That's right. I love you all, guys. Let's all have... Never mind. Anyways. Alright, so... My favorite wrestlers, personally, I mean, I love Brock Lesnar. He's awesome. I think that, I think that this is what I want to talk about today, is like the gimmicks of the, the 80s and, around that time. 80s to 90s, how gimmicky, everyone had a certain character. Those were actually my favorite wrestlers. Like, there's not a whole lot of wrestlers these days, but I will say though that, like, I am not as big a hater as some people. Some people absolutely detest WWE, and I personally, I don't think that they deserve that much hate. I understand it's gotten, PG, but I mean, I think that it's kind of cool how they try to make it like real life, like a soap opera, because it wasn't like that back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, it was just stupid, corny stage stuff, I mean, I know it's still staged and nowadays, but I don't know what I'm trying to say, really. But back in the 80s, though, yeah, there were a lot of, funny characters. Oh, fun fact, by the way, and I learned this from a cool channel, Nam's Noodle. Definitely subscribe to him, but Kane had a corny character back in the day called Isaac. What was it? Isaac, Isaac Ripham or Yankum, Isaac Yankum, and he was like this crazy dentist. It was amazing. I watched a video on him. He actually got upset with a caller because they brought that up. That's how much he hates that character. But I thought that was great. But yeah, I think that they're both good in their own rights, like the old school and the new school wrestling shit. But, if you can work a gimmick, like if you can make a gimmick work for you, I don't see a problem with it. You know what I mean? Wrestling is staged to begin with, so it's not like they're not being themselves, if that makes sense. But I don't have problems with gimmicks, honestly. And, if you think about it, there are gimmicks too. There's still gimmicks even these days, like with Sheamus. I really doubt that guy's even Irish. I don't know for sure, but you can just tell he's like super stereotyping the Irish people. And that to me is a gimmick, you know what I mean? There's other gimmicks too, but yeah, that's all I really have to say is, like, I like both old and new wrestling. That's just my opinion, though. You're welcome to think differently, but I think that there's bad and good, in both eras. I know Wrestling Jesus, I think his favorite era was the Attitude Era. I don't really know what to say about that. He's entitled to his own opinion. But I think that he was a little bit too critical of new wrestling. That's just my opinion, though. I know I keep saying that, but I don't want to piss off a lot of fanboys here. I'm not trying to do that. But I just wanted to say, though, that, like, yeah, wrestling has always been staged. It's always been fake. And so to say that, like, it was a gimmick back in the day and that's a bad thing doesn't really make that much sense to me. But, to each their own, I guess. But people do get hurt. I mean, it's a serious thing. Like, wrestlers get hurt all the time in wrestling. And the slams are real, people get punched in the face sometimes by accident. But, yeah, I really like Rey Mysterio too. I just think that guy's so awesome. Like, there's some wrestlers that are super talented, like acrobatic wise. Rey Mysterio has always impressed me with his acrobatics and stuff like that. I used to pick him all the time. I had this friend I hung out with. We played N64 wrestling together. He had it at his house. He had an N64. I had a PlayStation, and that's probably the only reason we were friends, is because we would just play each other's shit. But I remember I would always want to be Rey Mysterio. But yeah, I mean, like, in all-out cool wrestlers, I would say Stone Cold Steve Austin is probably one of the coolest motherfuckers Really, he's just such a badass dude. You can't help but love Stone Cold Steve Austin. Also, like the Big Show and really giant wrestlers are fun to see because it just like they can squish little guys, because there isn't a weight class. So you could have a little guy up against a really huge guy. And that's always fun to see. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Like aside from that, I don't have like a ton of favorite wrestlers. I just think they're all interesting in their own right, I guess. Also, another badass guy I have to mention, and I'm sorry this is gonna piss you guys off, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I really like John Cena. The guy just seems to have a lot of heart, and I know people are gonna say that he's like PG and this and that, but I'll admit I like John Cena. I've always liked John Cena. He seems like the kind of guy that he's like the little guy he's the big guy who used to be the little guy, and he's the kind of guy that would cheer for the underdog. That's just how I take it, but you guys are welcome to think differently, and I'm sorry if some of you guys unsub because of that, but I actually do really love John Cena. So anyways, guys, no, but seriously, like, tell me your favorite wrestlers and which era of wrestling you like. I'd be interested to know. So thanks guys for watching. Peace.